Edge of the Empire, the scene as it were, is actually the edge of the Empire. The very outer reaches of the Empire. Basically, they're there, there's a presence there, but it's not that felt. You know, they may have a few barracks over there and whatnot, but it's basically where the criminal masterminds, the fringers, the colonists, where people try to go to escape the grasp of the Empire. So to represent this, every character created in Edge of the Empire starts off by choosing an obligation. Now, obligations can range from addictions or life debts, a favor owed, maybe you owe money, maybe you even have a bounty on you, or you're just a criminal trying to escape the law. Obligation for your characters is determined by the amount of players playing. On the player's part, this is what you base your backstory off of, or what is based off of your backstory. Like, my brother's character is a doctor who has the obligation addiction. He is addicted to stim packs. That's his obligation. Other characters have different obligations. One of the other players in our group has an obligation. He's addicted to murder. He has to always kill somebody. He's a bounty hunter, and he does not take bounties that require the bounty to make it back alive, because he's just addicted to killing. He must kill. Yeah, come on. Really? My character's obligation is he was a slave, so he has a life debt to finding the guy who enslaved him and ending his life. That's just the theme of the obligations. The mechanics of the obligation is as follows. The dungeon master, or game master as it were, tallies up all the different players' obligations. So if I have 5 obligation and you have 10 obligation and player 3 has 15 obligation, you know, he takes that amount. That's what, 5, 10, and 15 is 30. So let's just say it's 30 obligation total for the party. He makes a chart. So from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is mine because I have 5 obligation. The next character who had 15 would get from 6 to 16, and the final character who had 10 would get from 17 to 28 or 27. Sorry, if my math is off, but I don't get. So once that chart is created, at the beginning of every game, the Dungeon Master rolls the percentile dice. If the percentile dice come up with a number that is on the obligation chart, every character playing reduces their maximum strain threshold by 1 point, and the characters whose specific obligation came up reduces their maximum strain by 2 points. In addition, if on the percentile dice the game master rolls doubles, the effects are doubled. So every player's character reduces their maximum strain by 2, and the specific player's character whose obligation came up reduces it by 4. So obligation can be a pretty serious thing. Now, in Edge of the Empire, it also allows you to gain additional obligation. You can get 5 additional obligation for 5 additional experience points, or 2,500 additional credits. You can get 10 additional obligation for 10 additional starting experience points, or like 5,000 starting credits. And you don't start off with much. That was a loud snore. So you don't start off with many credits, you start off with 500. Gaining obligation to increase your starting equipment might be a pretty big thing, but then again, you're increasing the chance that your number's up, you know, in DM rolls. Then it suggests during character creation you choose a race. So we're gonna go with humans just as a basic to start, because every race starts with a different stat line and different starting experience and different wound thresholds and strain thresholds, which is independent of the starting stat line. So a human, the basic, you know, I'm everything kind of character, every stat in their stat line is 2. 2 brawn, 2 agility, 2 intellect, 2 cunning, 2 willpower, and 2 presence, which is the average. The maximum starting ability score is 5. The maximum an ability score can be during play would be 6. Humans have both a starting wound threshold and strength threshold of 10 plus the relevant abilities. So 10 plus brawn is your starting wound threshold. 10 plus willpower is your starting strain threshold. Humans also start with 110 experience points to buy their relevant skills, class, stuff, abilities, everything you need is right there. Humans also have a starting special, which allows them to take 1 rank and up to 2 non-career skills. Now, we start talking about how to spend your starting experience. On the first note, your abilities cannot start higher than 5. Your skill ranks cannot start at a higher level than 2. Now we talk about spending experience points. Abilities. For every point you upgrade an ability, it costs that amount times 10 in experience. And you have to apply that cost for every stage of the upgrade. In other words, if you were a human who wanted to upgrade their brawn from 2 to 4, you would first have to upgrade it from 2 to 3, spending 30 experience points to get 3 brawn, and then from 3 to 4, spending an additional 40 experience points to get 4 brawn, which totals 70 experience points to get from the starting 2 all the way up to 4. Now that's a pretty hefty investment, considering you only start with 110 experience points, but it might be something you want to deal with. And that goes for brawn, agility. It doesn't matter what ability you're upgrading. Each ability costs 10 times that amount to upgrade. So once again, it costs 30 to go from 2 to 3, and an additional 40 to go from 3 to 4. Skills. For career skills, it costs 5 times the amount of that rank. So if ranged heavy happened to be a career skill for your character, you only had 1 rank, you could upgrade it from 1 to 2 for 10 experience points, or from 2 to 3 for 15 experience points. However, remember, a starting character can only have 2 ranks in anything. Say if you have a career skill that had 0 ranks, well, from 0 to 1 only costs 5 experience points, and from 1 to 2 costs an additional 10 experience points. So to go from 0 to 2 would cost a total of 15 experience points. If you wanted to level up a skill that was not a career skill, it costs 5 times the amount plus an additional 5 for every step. If you had 0, because it's not a career skill, to get from 0 to 1 would cost 5 plus an additional 5 for a total of 10. To get from 1 to 2, it would cost 10 plus the additional 5 for it not being a career skill, which would have a total of 15. So to get from 0 to 2, in total, it would cost 25 experience.